Alright, YouTube, so my favorite artist just dropped a video, and that is Baby Pluto himself, aka Lil Uzi. So what I'm going to be showing you guys today is how I would make a beat for the new album that Lil Uzi and Future just dropped called Pluto x Baby Pluto. Alright, so if you guys don't know who Lil Uzi is, honestly, you must be living under a rock, because he's one of the biggest artists in hip-hop right now. In my opinion, he's kind of a pioneer of this new sound called hyperpop, which is basically when you use EDM sounds to make trap beats, and it's one of my favorite styles right now. So anyways, let's get into the video. I'm going to be going for a beat kind of in the style of Bankroll off the new album. So I'm going to be trying to use like a brass sound and just have that like fast, like hype, upbeat sound. So we're going to be going for something like that. So without any further ado, let's jump into this. Alright, so as you can see, I already have a few sounds pulled up. And I also have a chord progression and a little melody picked out. So the first sound that I'm going to be using is this sound from Omnisphere from Session Strings Pro 2. It's called the Ensemble Modern. And it's just like a bunch of string instruments, and I played this chord progression, which is in G minor. So I'm really liking how that sounds already, but I am going to process this a little bit. So I'm going to go to mixer track 1 where this sound is routed. I'm going to pull up a parametric EQ. I'm going to drop some of that low end out and a lot of that high end. I did not route it yet, so let's route it to mixer track 1. Put some of that high end back in. A little less low end. I'm gonna add RC retro color. Bring that noise down a little bit. Bring the distortion down. Alright, so the second sound I got pulled up is this sound from Analog Lab, but I don't think I'm going to use it. It's a little too aggressive. But what I am looking for here is just some kind of brass instrument. So I'm going to be looking under this type. As you can see, bass, SFX, percussion, but I'm going to be looking for something called brass. So we got this classic brass preset right here. Let's see how that sounds. So I'm going to solo it out. A little too high in pitch. Bring it down an octave by hitting Control down arrow. Alright, so I actually like how that sounds. I'm going to EQ it a little bit just because it's a little too clean. Bring out some of the low end. Some of the high end. Then I'm going to go and add this plugin called Delay Eternity. And I'm going to go to Ping Pong Lo-Fi. I'm just going to bring the dry wet knob down just a tad bit. Cool, so now let's see if we can merge these two sounds together. Alright, cool, so I like how that sounds so far. I also have this one shot picked out. It's a like plucky bass. Sounds like this. And what I'm going to do is just follow the root note of this chord progression and try and make a catchy bass line. Make sure it's on cut itself. Alright, so I'm liking how that sounds. So I'm going to duplicate that over. And then I'm going to hit Control L on my keyboard. This is for legato, which makes all the notes touch each other. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to the bass. I'm going to go to the envelope settings. And I'm going to bring everything down except for the hold. And what this does is just make sure when you play a note, there's no tail after the release. And then I'm going to track it out to mixer track 8. Alright, so I'm liking that. So now I'm going to go and try and find some good sounding one shots. All right, so what I did there is I routed the sounds to mix track 7, and then I put a gross beat on them with a gate, and I just adjusted the attack and the release just to have it sound how I want it, and I brought down the volume just a little bit so it's not too robotic. So Alright, so I added this one-shot bell, and I kind of played like this offbeat melody. And now what I'm going to do is just let you guys listen to it and kind of process it, make it sound a little better, and let it sit in the mix with some reverb. All right, cool. So the only thing I think I'm really gonna do next is try and find a cool lead and just kind of make like like I was talking earlier, like that hyper pop. So I'm gonna try and find like something that's EDM-ish, but we'll see what we can find. All right, cool. So like how that sounds, I'm gonna route it to a mixer track and then just process it a little bit. Alright, so what I did there is I used gross beat to add a trance gate, which is something you would see used in like EDM songs pretty often. But I've noticed this in a lot of Uzi songs recently, and a lot of like hyperpop songs, specifically like Futsal Shuffle. But yeah, so that's what I was going for there. Alright, before we move on, I actually think I'm going to change this bass. I'm going to look for something less plucky, because for some reason I'm just not liking that. All right, cool, perfect. So now I'm gonna show you guys how I would go and process this sample on the master. So I'm gonna pull up this plugin by Waves called Kramer Tape. This is what it looks like, and basically what it does, it kind of emulates like an old tape compressor, I believe. But I'm gonna just mess with some stuff in here and try and make it sound a little cooler. right, so adding that plugin, what I noticed is it adds a lot of distortion to the low end. So what I'm gonna do is go to the bass and just bring that down so it's not so overpowering. Perfect, so I like that. So now I'm gonna show you guys how to arrange the melody. So I'm gonna go to split by channel, drag everything in, and I'm gonna have the first 8 bars, just have everything play. And then basically for the next 8 or the next 16, I would take the bass out, which is right here. And I'm never gonna have the bass come back in. And then for the next 8 bars, what I would do is just take out a few sounds to make it sound like there's less going on. So I'd probably take out this lead. Cool, and then the next part, I would take out the bell and the lead. And then maybe for this last part here, just take out one of the orchestral sounds that I added. All right, cool, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save that. And the way I name these is I just put my name in the front, then I call it like a title. We'll go with Deja Vu. And then I put the BPM in the label. So 133 BPM. Then I'm going to go to my loop folder. Throw it in November, save it, and then I hit save anyways. We don't got gross beat. And then Control-Shift-R on my keyboard, save it in the same spot. And then I do a MP3 and a wave. So I'll render that out. And then we're going to open a new project to do the drums. All right, so I got a new project pulled up. I'm going to go to my loops folder in FL and just find that loop we just made. And then I drag the wave file in there just because if you drag an MP3 in, it'll usually have this little small like pause in the beginning, which you have to cut out, and it's just easier with a wave file. So we're gonna bring the we're gonna bring the BPM down to 133. And then what I do here is I just cut this part right here. So we have an intro with the bass, and I make the bass unique. And then I route it to mixer track 1, and the second part, I route it to mixer track 2. This is just so I could go to this second mixer track. And I know that I'm gonna have the drums come in when the bass isn't there. So I'm gonna add this fruity parametric EQ. And I'm just cutting out all the low end, just so when the 808 comes in, it doesn't clash. All right, so now I'm gonna go to that first initial drop. I'm gonna highlight the first 4 bars. Actually, let's make it 8, just so we could have a more unique pattern. Drag pattern 1 into the playlist, stretch it out to 8 bars, and we're gonna start adding some drums. All right, so all the drums I'm gonna be using in this video are gonna be from my new drum kit that I just dropped. It's my Essentials Volume 1. So if you guys need any fresh new sounds, or if you like any of the sounds that you hear in this video, go ahead and cop that. But anyways, the drums in this kit are pretty much mixed to perfection. You basically just have to level it to how you want it to sound. But other than that, you don't have to do too much mixing. So I'm gonna start out with a clap first. Use this clap called Rose in my kit. Then I'm gonna drag this MIDI in here, which is just like your default clap pattern. Add some snares. What I'm doing here is just duplicating it over for 8 bars. If you hit Control K, it goes to the second instrument right below it. Duplicate that over as well. Cool, so now I'm gonna go ahead and try and add a hi-hat in here. Oops, open hands. So I'm gonna start out with one of the 3 MIDIs that I dropped in this kit. Super simple MIDIs just to try and get your like hi-hat started. I usually build off these. So I'm gonna start out with this one called Drip. Cool, yeah, so I like that. And I'm gonna just add some stuff. Let's see what we can do.
Boy, if you don't.
So as you can see, I'm kind of just bringing the velocity up and just changing the notes around to my liking. And I like this so far, so I'm probably just going to end up duplicating it over. I'm trying to add some open hats. Drag the out knob up on this a little bit just to make it shorter. Alright, so I think it's time for the 808. So I'm going to be using this kit, or this 808 from my kit called Addition. Just turn it up a little bit. And then I already know, so all I'm doing for this melody is I'm following the root note, and I already know what that is. It's G, D sharp, and F. Trying to shoot for something a little unique here. Ooh, make sure you hit cut itself on the 808 so they don't clash. So what I'm going to do here is if you take an 808, I'm going to drop it down to this note right here, F, and then what I'm going to do here is click S on my keyboard to make a slide note. I'm going to make it half the length, and then I'm going to turn the volume of the note under it all the way down. You get this effect. So it kind of sounds like a reversed 808. Perfect. So now I'm going to actually delete this second half, duplicate that over. So I like that a little better. All right, so let's move on to the mix or the arrangement section. So what I'm going to do here is take the pattern out, split it by channel. I'm going to drag these back into the playlist. And I already know exactly how this sounds in my head. We have the original intro with the bass, and what I'm going to do here is go into my kit, risers, and I have this riser called Timed. Drag that in. And as you can see, it's stretched to the BPM of the song, so no matter what BPM you change this to, it'll stay exactly how it should sound. All right, so let's see how this transition sounds just before we go on to the next 8 bars. I'm going to have everything come back in right here. I like that. And I'm also going to have this little part right here just cut. So we'll listen to how that sounds. Drops out. So what I'm going to do is, just so the drop like that isn't so drastic, I'm going to go to this melody part and I'm going to add just a tiny amount of reverb. Just so when we cut it like that, it doesn't sound just so like non-stop. So yeah, it's just going to be the 808, and then I'm going to have the snare play right at the end. And then for this next 8 bars, I'm going to bring in the clap, the snares. I think that's it. Let's hear that sounds. go to my master channel. I'm going to right click and create automation clip. I'm going to just have a little volume automation fade at the end. That is the whole beat. I would usually add my tag, but I'm in need of a new tag, so if you know anyone, hit me up. All right, you guys already know what's up. Before we go, I got some auto-tune and reverb on. Let's do a little freestyle. Can't myself, but I know that I'm never fine. Diamonds on my wrist, that shit make you hypnotize. Keep to yourself, but you know I'm never fine. On demon time. Shawty wanna fuck with the team, wanna fuck with the guys. Keep a side chick on the side, never let me rise. I made a beat and I did it all on my own. Shawty wanna keep on calling my phone. Oh, yeah, yeah. Bought my drum kit, that shit hitting it hard. Drum kit hit harder than my own bars. Just took a bond, now fall asleep on my own. Call my phone, shawty wanna fuck, but it don't got bone. Ooh, what she want? Enough of that. Alright guys, so that is the end of the video. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I hope you didn't cringe too much for that freestyle, because let's be honest, it wasn't too hot. But anyways, if you guys did learn something from the video, please hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to Splitmind. Follow me and Splitmind, all of the team on social medias. Just stay updated with what we're doing. If you guys are not familiar with Drumify, go check that out. We got loads and loads of sounds, and I have my new drum kit and loop kit on there. So if you guys are looking for some fresh stuff, you know where to go. Link's always in the description. Also, leave a comment and let me know what you think. But that's all I got for you guys. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.